So this is game number 6432, also known as 7. Reay is at the first turn again. Oh, poor Deli. Bad hands and no first turns. That said, I wanted to say about Deli's play last game. Go check out the second game in last video, because Deli showed a wild concept. Reay started in 7, Deli played 2, such that he couldn't recapture in 1 or 3, and when Deli captured from 5, Deli played 4, able to be captured by 1, just giving up the left side of the board and holding. And holding comfortably, too. Really nicely played. And I think just sacking cards to leave Reay stuck with the wrong cards at the end, to force specific cards out of his hand and leave him with the wrong ones, reminded me, this is going to sound so pretentious, but I already put it in the chat, so it's been pretentious there as well, of the chess grandmaster Svetozar Gligorich, who famously said, and I believe wrote a book, I play against pieces, right? He plays to restrict his opponent's pieces. And I think Delial kind of did the equivalent of what you can do in Triple Triad, where you see this card is of the utmost value in the opponent's hand. I will play in such a way that you have to use it and be left with worse cards for later. I'm going to force you to be stuck with the worst cards. I'm going to play moves that let you use it in an effective way, but by doing so, force it out of your hand. And I think that's the closest to the Gligorich way of playing. So, Deli really showing Svetozar Gligorich what's what. Alright, that said, let's look at the position. Per usual, I do this more on some levels than others, but I think level 4 it's a really appropriate one. Let's look at some directions. Where are those 7s? Deli has up and to the right. He has a 6 to the left. And he has a 6 down. But he has much better backup up and right than left and down. Like to the right, he has 3 7s, right? Does Reay have coverage of that? 2 5 7 5 on the top can, but otherwise not really. Going up, he has a 7. Backing it up, he has a 6 and a 5. Going down, he has a 6, then a 5 and a 4. Going left, he has a 6, then a 5 and a 4. It drops off quicker there. That makes me think something like, okay, let's stick 5 5 5 4 and 7 and see what happens. And that move looks appealing, because if 6 5 6 2 ever lands in 4, I'm not saying Deli will capture immediately, but by looking at the captures, you can see how difficult a move is to meet. You always have 1 7 5 5 in 1. It also leaves the top row open, which I think we want, because 2 5 7 5 is our only card that can really counter 7s to the right. And if the top row is open, it can sweep them, while if the top row fills up, it loses a lot of value. Some people will be drawn to 6 3 7 2 and 2, but among other problems, 7 6 2 4 and 4 covers 1, so you actually don't quite have the recaptures you'd want to have. You also just don't have much up power after that, so I think that one's not good. But 5 5 5 4 and 7, let's keep looking at that. You could also start it in 1, because 5 5 5 4 and 7, you don't have play against 3 7 3 6 and 8, right? You don't have a plus wall in 9. Well, if you start in 1, that does block up a square on the top row, but by being on the top row, if 3 7 3 6 ever captures from 2, you have the plus wall in 3, and we can still plus wall a 6 facing down. But 7 6 2 4 is a new capturer, and we don't have particular play against that yet. I like 7, and Reay does too. I think this is the first time we've been on the same page, and maybe I'd end up on a different move if I thought more, but on the same page for a starter. I will say overall this match, the rating system thinks Delial has played a bit better than Reay, at least through the first 4 games. I haven't checked game 5 and 6, and I think that's right? I think often Delial's been the one pressing a little, and he's usually been the one with worse hands. Though Reay has had at least 2 games where it was Delial who was really under pressure. And I think Delial's had 2, maybe 3 games where Reay was under a bit of pressure, and I think Reay's had better hands. So I think it's fair to say Delial's playing a little better, but I also think they're both playing great. This has just been a superb finals. There have been multiple games where I just really loved the concepts shown, and also a bunch of games where it was more conventional, but I think just really securely played. So this is to say, it's really cool to see Reay back, and if you only saw him in his early years of playing, where he was, let's be generous here, terrible, it might have come to you as a surprise that he finished top 40 in my all-time rankings, that I think he's currently 37th on them. But he just made icon after icon at the end of his run, peaking with a finals run in a closed tournament, but just so many quarterfinals and open ones too, where he'd just, lose to Great Sephiroth usually, actually. But Great Sephiroth over and over again as soon as he hit the quarterfinals, and that's fine. That's nothing against you. And hopefully this match we can see some of how he was so good. We'll notice Reay is really redundant with these 5s to the left. There might have been an argument for using... But the 5 up is really helpful. I was going to say for using 4-5-6-5, just to keep a 4 to the left, not because the 4 is useful, but because it's different, and you don't walk into potential... If Delial can control a 5 once, he controls your whole hand. But Delial's pretty unlikely to be able to control a 5. It doesn't seem obvious there's setups there. So I like this move. I think it's a good move. So what about 3-7, 3-6, and 8? What if we just attack it immediately? Because I do notice 6-3-7-2 in 4 is comboed back by 6-5-6-2. But then you have 1-7-5-5 and 5. That's murky. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, so that doesn't seem worrisome at all. I think Delial probably shouldn't interact immediately with the starter. I think it's a difficult starter to interact with, which is often a good sign. I think this is a good starter. I don't really know where Delial should want to play. 7-6-2-4 could be safe in multiple squares. So maybe you just play 7-6-2-4 and 4-8. You say, okay, you have your starter, you can lock it in, but I have a good card of my own. And once kind of squares start filling in, it'll be easier for me to grab more safety as well down the road. I don't see a particular problem with that. It's not really to my taste, but what is to my taste? Obviously good moves. And there aren't going to be obviously good moves here. So, we should take what we can get, as the song goes. I think it's tricky. It's hard for Delial to make a move that is as difficult for Reay to take as this move is for Delial to take, right? It's hard to create a sort of comparable challenge in the position, except for moves like 4 or 8 that help lock in Reay's card, right? There's not something that's all that tricky to put in 3, or tricky at all even, I don't think. You also, maybe you want the game side to side. Maybe there's a case for going in 6 and saying 3-7, 3-6 is going to do work, or 1-7, 4-5, but I don't actually think it will. I think, you leave that top row open and you say it's a side-to-side game, that 1-2-3 is going to hit like a truck at the end. So I don't think you want to do that, and I don't like the idea of 2. So I'm sort of left with 1, 5, or 9 if I'm trying to avoid 4 or 8. Of those, I'd like to go in 1 to fight Ray's hand, but my hand doesn't want to see more cards on the left. Is there something in 5 that's appealing? I'm not seeing it. So I'm kind of left with, you go 4 or 8 and you feel bad about it. I think this is a good starter, and this is going to be a tricky game to play. Probably 4, right? Because your threat in 8 is better than your threat in 4. Your threat in 4 is well covered by 1, but your threat in 8 is not so cleanly covered. It's not that great a threat, because, if you take an 8 and they go 5, you can't recapture 8. But I think it is the bigger threat. So, without, again, doing any kind of calculation, I haven't, checked if Reay can play on the diagonal or anything. Or if you go 4 and Reay goes 8, how well he can set up against you. And the answer is probably pretty well. You go 7, 6, 2, 4, and 4... either 4, 5, 6, 5, or 6, 3, 7, 2, and 8 set something up. No, this is just tough. This is just really tough again. I feel like this is one of those positions. I get so frustrated at the solver with this. I check this afterwards, and the solver's like, of Delial's 40 available moves, 26 of them tie. And it's like, this is just like normal starter advantage, nothing notable. And then I'm like, okay, show me one of the ties. And it plays them. I'm like, okay, and if I play this obvious response and it goes, oh, there's only one tie left after that, and it's something really weird and off the wall. And I'm like, okay, so in practice, this is just a loss. So that one's a loss. Let's check the next move. And you just start ticking them off and you go, each of these in practice, instead of like there being 26 ties, they're actually like, you know, there's 20, I want to have to find like this nightmarely difficult move, and there's 6 moves where you still have some disadvantage, and you go, okay, so this one sucks, right? This position sucks. And I feel like this could be a position kind of like that. Deli does go 4, so we did call the move. And I think the natural thing to do is 4, 5, 6, 4, and 8, or 6, 3, 7, 2, and 8. Now, 4, 5, 6, 4 is much harder to take back because we kind of can't. So 6, 3, 7, 2 is probably the more natural way to do that. Pleasantly, that is safe to 5 and makes a big threat in 5. Now, maybe it's not that big a threat because Deli has 1, 7, 4, 5 for 1, so maybe he can just ignore. But 6, 3, 7, 2, and 8 seems kind of the rote move, right? The like, okay, that's a move I'm going to be pretty happy with. Does a standard thing, and it does it well. If Deli goes 5, I'm sure I can play something decent in a remaining square. And my 2, 5, 7, 5 is going to be a really good sweeper. So like a standard line here might be 6, 3, 7, 2, and 8. Something blocks 5. 4, 5, 6, 5, and 9. Something takes it from 6 with 6, 4. 1, 7, 5, 5, and 1. Doesn't capture anything. Isn't even safe. But just relying on 2, 5, 7, 5 to sweep the way to at least a tie at the end. Probably not a winning idea though. And I think in this position, Reay should be looking for winning chances. So an interesting move, I said I didn't check the diagonal, but 2, 5, 7, 5, and 2. Not a card I really wanted to take out of my hand, but it's pretty threatening, right? It threatens to go 1, 7, 5, 5, and 1. And that's just a really big threat. There's not a good reply in 5 or anything. And if you block 1, 4, 5, 6, 5, and 5 combos through 4 to flip 1. So 2, 5, 7, 5, and 2 is a card I was really trying to hold on to as an endgame sweeper. But it might be better used immediately. That looks very dangerous to me. Because if Deli goes somewhere ignoring the action, I wonder, I kind of feel like Deli has to go 6 or 8 there. To create some type of counterplay. But I'm not sure he has the card. So 2, 5, 7, 5, and 2 looks really dangerous to me. It might be there's some straightforward path I'm not seeing, but I think you can just basically rule out 1. I think 1 doesn't work. 1 would only work if you could meet 5 with a really nice move in 3 or a really nice move in 8. There's no setups in 7 and 9, and you don't have 8, and I don't think you have something great to put in 3 at the end. Like, you play like 3, 7, 3, 6, and 3 at the end, and you're like, well, I took something, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem like enough to hold. So I think you can rule out 1 there. I think you can rule out 5 as well. I think you can probably rule out 3. 9 is pretty hard to pull off, though what a move order that would be. 7, 4, no capture, 2, 9. Oh, that would be fun. It has some sense to it. It kind of can create a threat elsewhere and start running cards out of Reay's hand. Because Reay has a different threat in each of 1 or 5. But I think I'm not sure how it creates sufficient threat. Maybe 5-7, 5-3, and 9. You set up a combo threat in 8 that can flip through 4, and that can sort of delay action, but I think Reay has the time to block 8 with 6-3-7-2, a card he doesn't need for his combos, and I doubt you have another way to delay a turn. Also, by playing 6-3-7-2 and 8, Reay sets up 1-7-5-5 for both 5 and 1. Again, this is if 2 has been played. So I don't think you can go 9. I kind of think you have to go 6 or 8. Maybe 1-7-5-4 in 6 does it. Makes 5-7-5-3 really good in both 1 and 5. And so you now have some counter threat to them going in 1. Because the problem after 2 is you can't block 1, and when Reay blocks 1, Delial's in trouble. So you kind of got to make it so you have a good move in 5 after that. And 6 and 8 are the ways to create that. But I think 2 is dangerous. I think 2 is very dangerous. I think 8 is solid and fine. There's also 1. 1's a very reasonable square. Which card would you put there? Okay, 1 might not be so good. Just feels like Imp is probably going to eat it, and you don't have too much compensation. So okay, probably not 1. I mean, the standard squares are 1, 2, 8, right? Not in that order. The order is probably 8, 1, 2. But here, 2 seems really good. And I think 1 doesn't seem very good, and 8 seems fine. I would rank them in this position 2, 8, 1. But on average, I would rank them probably 8, 1, 2. And I think 8 and 1 are pretty close, and 2 is well behind, on average. And I don't think I'd ever get to analyzing other moves here if I was playing. I think I would spend all my time on 8 and 2. 2-5-7-5 has been picked up, which means I do think we will see 2-5-7-5 and 2. Because it doesn't make much sense in 8. And I think this game, Reay and I... In fact, for both players, I may have played this game exactly the same way if I was playing myself. I think I would. And now it's really scary for Deli, and the question is, can he find something? 1, 7, 4, 5, and 6 was my idea. You maybe can also go 5, 7, 5, 3, and 6, setting up 3, 7, 3, 6 for 5. Because 1, 7, 4, 5, and 1 can also work. You have 2 cards that can work in 1. Also, 6, 2, 6, 5, and 6 has an argument for it. Because then 5, 7, 5, 3, and 5 can flip through 4. So there's an argument for a whole bunch of cards in 6. Is there an argument for cards in 8? Well, this is much easier to check, because all our cards having the same up and down, basically, means it's really easy to check whether we can set up a threat in 5. And the answer is kind of just no, right? 6, 5, 6, 2 sets up nothing for anything. Yeah, like, what are we doing? 8 seems pretty unlikely. If you were going to go 8, you'd want to go 3, 7, 3, 6, because you kind of got to grab something. But that feels very dangerous, because after 1, 7, 5, 5, and 1, you have no attack on anything. And maybe you hold. Maybe you can play in 5 with a 7 to the right there, and you just hold. Is that right? That might be right, because if you still have 6, 5, 6, 2 in your hand, you have something strong enough up, down, that if they block 3, you can play 6, 5, 6, 2, and 6, and whichever card they've kept, they have no captures. So maybe you can hold with 3, 7, 3, 6, and 8. That's a findable move. 6 is also really possible. I don't trust any other square. I'm very likely to be wrong. I say things that are wrong all the time. In fact, a few videos ago, in game 2, I said with 4 moves left, here's a tie, or I calculated a tie, and then I found a second tie, and Deli played the second tie, and I was like, yep, that's one of the ties. Well, my first tie wasn't a tie. That was nonsense. It was just a move where Reay takes it, and now he's lost. So, I do make calculation errors all the time, and sometimes it's because I miss obvious things, sometimes it's because I miss quite obscure things, and that's fine. But I feel like 6 and 8 are the key moves here. I think if you don't go 6 or 8, this is really tough. Maybe against 3, 7, 3, 6, and 8, which makes it 6, 4. Can Reay play, say, 6, 3, 7, 2, and 3? Then you still got a delay interacting with everything. And you can't occupy 5 with a 7 out. Because my idea with 8 is if you go 8 and Reay goes 1, you play in 5 just trying to have a 7 out, and you have your 3 cards in 5, 7, and 8. And because they have 7s out, they're all pretty locked in. And because you kept 6, 5, 6, 2, you don't just die up, down to 6, 3, 7, 2. But if Reay can delay a move, right, your useful thing to do was going in 5. But if 1 is unoccupied, you can't go in 5, I don't think. I really don't think you can. And if you can't go in 5 and you can't go in 1, I don't think you have anything useful to do in 6 or 9. So I don't think 8 works anymore. Again, this is not a super deep calculation, and also calculating with 6 moves left is just not something where people are going to be perfect or anything. But I no longer trust 3, 7, 3, 6, and 8. I think I evaluated it as more likely to be a tie than a loss, but now I think after 6, 3, 7, 2, and 3, it's more likely to be a loss. But maybe then you can play 6. Maybe then you can play 6, and actually you might be in good shape there. Six, 5, 6, 2, and 6. 9 is dead for Reay, so we can't be stuck there with the last turn. If he goes 1, you have 5 now, because you've set up 5, 7, 5, 3 to have 6 plus 3 equals 7 plus 2, because you put 6, 5, 6, 2, and 6. And if Reay blocks 9, he has to pick very carefully. Yeah, no, I think 3 doesn't work. I think 8 does work. All right, Delial blocks 5. So he had a whole different concept. Didn't notice this at all. I thought this card could go in 8. But it's the same point, but better. This is very interesting. He creates a threat in 8, so if Reay plays in 1, he plays in 8, and he actually gets significantly more cards. Either Reay plays in 1, flipping 4, in which case he gets comboed to hell, or Reay plays in 1, not flipping 4, in which case Delial can build that same wall of 7s out, except he's flipped an extra card. Oh, this is now very promising for Delial. How the tables have turned, how wrong my evaluations were. Now, what I want to do for Reay is play 6, 3, 7, 2, and 9. Because it looks fun, but I don't think it does much. Oh, man. Things change here in Triple Triad Land. I did not see this possibility at all. This is very clever and I think very strong. If Reay plays 9, then Deli can capture from 1, and Ray's left weakness is really hurting him. I think I think 8 loses for Reay. I think 8's a loss. I think 1 is probably a loss. You stick something like T-Rex in 1, Deli goes 8. You don't have ways to capture 6, 5, 6, 2. I think 3 is probably a loss. 6? 6, 3, 7, 2, and 6? Deli can just leave it alone. He just goes an 8 or 9. I feel like you have to try 6, 3, 7, 2, and 9, but I don't think that works either. I think Deli's won. I think I completely misevaluated this. Awesome move from Deli. Totally missed it. Really nicely played. This has been a great finals, hasn't it? I appreciate that Reay went for it in 2 rather than playing like 8. Because if he had gone 8, I would have been like, he's taking the safe tie. But, you should go for 2 here. But he goes for 2 and it turns out, I think I'm wrong. Now maybe I've missed something. Maybe this is still good for, or fine. But 5-7, 5-3 is landing an 8 against a lot of moves. Oh, what a great win by Deli. Fantastic. If this is a win. But at this point, I think he's done it. And I think I totally missed the concept. Just beautiful how the combos work off Ray's cards. Yeah. Oh, excellent finals. Excellent play. Congrats to both players here. This is great. Yeah, this is great. This is what we want to see. A match that goes back and forth with really good play, a bunch of different types of plays, and ending with something where I thought the advantage was one way, but I missed a really beautiful touch. And Deli sets up a better version of all my 8 concepts here. And doesn't, yeah. Reay has now picked up 6-3-7-2, which I should probably have at some point calculated if that lands in 9. I assume it will land in 9. It really sets up 4-5-6-5, but not actually to do enough. Not to do enough. Well, maybe to do enough. You try to force the blockage of 8. Yeah, maybe it does it. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll check it now. This was the only chance here. If Deli goes 1, he goes up 6-4. And Reay can go 8 with 4-5-6-5. He will make it 5-5. And his 1-7-5-5 is really good there. He holds. If Deli goes 8, say with 5-7-5-3, he goes up 7-3, but now Reay can go 1, and he will make it 6-4, and 4-5-6-5 is really good. What an awesome finals. Now here Deli's going to find a win in like 3 or 6 or something, and that will be great too. Though I don't think the point of 3 or 6 is that if Reay goes 8, Deli still has 1, and if Reay goes 1, Deli still has 8. But I think if something like 6 happens, Reay can just go 8. That doesn't seem a problem. So I think this does work. I think it was the only move. Should we do a full-on calculation? No, because A, I'm lazy. B, it's a little boring. C, this way the result is kept more in the air. I think it's a tie. But unless you're doing your own calculations, we don't know for sure. And so it'll be fun to see what happens. And, what a game. Love the move in 5. Really like the move in 9. So glad 2 happened. Yeah, this is my favorite game of the lot. Very curious what the solver will say after. In fact, I will start bringing that up. Because I am intrigued. Because this game was great. Great game. Maybe you saw it quicker than I did, everything that was going on. But if so, huge congrats to you. Huge congrats to Deli. great game. Great game of Triple Triad. This is what we want out of stuff. I'm repeating myself now, so I'm gonna pop open the solver on the side. Just take a peek at what it says. It's gonna run real slow usually while I'm recording, but that's okay. I won't flip you over, but hopefully you can recall previous positions in the game. I'll try not to give particularly extensive lines. I'll just, Wait, why is it saying it's building? No, oops, opened the wrong file. It said it was rebuilding, and it shouldn't have to rebuild the whole thing. But that's because I had opened the wrong file. Because I was messing around with trying to create a better AI this morning. Okay, so Reay plays in 7, Delial plays in 4. What's going on? Does Reay have a win? I would guess no, but I kind of thought 2 was winning for a little bit. There is no win. So one move was, the move I was on was 6-3-7-2 in 8, after which Delial has 2 ties. So when I say like comfortably getting a tie, maybe some pressure. And after 2-5-7-5 in 2, there's very few ties. There is a move in 6. I wanted imp to 8, but that loses. That loses really badly. Why did my move lose so badly? Because of a different move in 3. I wanted 6-3-7-2 there, but 4-5-6-5. But then you've given up your threat in 5. Oh, no, you haven't, because my move in 8 set up 1-7-5-5 to have 5 as well, so my move in 8 was terrible, because it set up 1-7-5-5 to have both squares, and I can't do math. Delial instead plays the much better move, 3-7-3-6 in 5. And now Reay has 1 tie after that move. And I missed it. Huh. So that will spoil. It was not the move Reay made. There was a win for Delial. Did he find it in this incredibly complex position? I guess we'll find out. What a fun game this has been. I thought Reay could go 8 here. I still feel he can go 8, right? I've turned off the solver for a sec. 4-5-6-5-8 makes it 6-4. Delial goes in 1. He flips 2 cards back. You flip 1 at the end. That should tie. Okay. So going back over to the solver. It says there's 1 win. And it was 6-5-6-2 in 3. With the point that if Reay goes 1, Delial is 5-7-5-3 and 8. If Reay goes 8, Delial can still play 5-7-5-3 and 3, because if you did 8 with 4-5-6-5, if you go 8 with 1-7-5-5, Delial can play in 6, because T-Rex is dead in 1. Ooh. Well, he'll feel bad about missing this one, but also this was just an awesome game. I probably should have done the full calculation, because then we would have, I think, found this. But what a superb game. So 4-5-6-5-8, 5-7-5-3-1, 1-7-5-5-3, 6-5-6-2 remaining. And we have tie number 7. And just really fun one. Wow, 5 was great. Did not see that at all. So what was the tie against 5? Because it said there was a tie there, and I didn't see what it was. So we will flip over to the solver for a sec so it can show us the tie, because I did not find it. All right, the solver is loading. because I closed it. It's running slow. It's not going to tell us stuff too fast, so I'm going to input the moves. Here said there was one tie, I think. That move was 8. So I just sort of assumed you go 1. 4, 5, 6, 5 does sweep here. And it sweeps whichever card you've put in 1, right? Yeah. I should have seen this. I thought this was a worse version of the prior, and I was trying to start like here, but I could never get past the 6, 5, 6, 2. And I thought I couldn't start here, but of course we can set up a threatened 6. I thought something like this was just, you're not taking anything, you are taking something. So I very much miscalculated this. So did Reay, clearly, to choose to go in 9. But 9 was really complicated. What a fantastic game. Congrats to everyone for playing it, and for me for getting to watch it, and we'll see them next time, hopefully, if I keep catching games from this really cool match.